All right, I think it's recording. At least it says it's starting. Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. There we go. We'll go ahead and say it's starting. This is episode 59 of the Current Gen podcast. I'm Tim, here with Derek. Welcome, my friend.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I don't know where Dan is though, so we're trying to call Dan. He said he's going to join us. He'll probably jump on the call pretty soon,
I'm. I
hopefully.
mean, I'm. I mean, he is committed to his wife, so it could be quality time with his wife. But I would not be surprised if he is doing what I was doing 2 seconds ago, and that's playing Resident Evil Village, the demo, the
Yeah,
30
and
minute demo.
by the way, if you miss out on your demo time because we're recording this, then I'm sorry, but also you'll get to play it in 3 weeks, so
Yeah.
relax. You'll be fine.
You know me, I don't care about demos. Now, if it was a demo that was like, hey, everything that you do in this demo carries over, I would want to play it.
Oh
But if
yeah, that's
no,
true. You never really have been big into demos. Like you might dabble for a second, but otherwise you're not that interested in playing them through. That's true.
no.
That's not
Plus, this is gonna be streamed everywhere. I'll just watch it. But I did boot it up just to see what it
on the
look.
PS5.
Yeah, on the PS5. I have this, and I may have said this on previous show. I have it pre-ordered on both PC and PS5.
Yeah.
And for those who are like, why would you buy a game twice? Well, I bought it on PC first, and then Tim and I, who game share, talked about it, and Tim's interested in playing the game, and he knows I'm interested in always owning it, so we decided he'll buy other games. I don't remember. Well, he talked about them last week. He'll buy other games if I buy Resident Evil, and I was like, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
buy it.
and I am gonna get Returnal as soon as I start seeing some more like up to date, close to release previews and reviews possibly. But Returnal is one that I'm planning on getting. I know you're not that interested, but hey, you'll get it for free. So
I mean, I'm definitely gonna try it.
yeah.
It's not that I'm not interested. I just feel like it's one of those games where I'm like, this is for everybody else. I have a feeling I'm gonna boot it up and be like, this is cool, and then not play it after
Yeah,
that.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I do the same thing with most Souls-like games. I try them out. I think they're pretty cool. I'll get through a couple bosses, and then I'm not usually interested in playing them all the way through. The exception being
So
something
is
like
that you want to
Bloodborne.
talk about Demon Souls now and how you quit on it already?
I've just gotten so distracted from Demon Souls. I don't really feel a pull back to it. I do like it. It's still installed, but I haven't played it since I got stuck on those stupid wolves. But yeah,
Wolves.
is it wolves? Whatever they are, some kind of
Oh,
dogs that attack you under the bridge.
oh,
Listen, it's one of those areas of the game where it really starts to branch a lot of different directions. You have a lot of different paths to choose. So I'm interested in trying the different paths, but just got distracted by other games, and I'll talk about a couple of them. But yeah, just got distracted by other games. It is what it is. Those Souls like games, I see the appeal. Sometimes they do it for me, but they're never. It's never such a strong pull, except for the one exception was Bloodborne. It's never such a strong pull that I'm like, that is the game that I want to play. I don't want to play anything else, just that. It's just never been my favorite style of game.
well,
I like.
clearly
Oh,
they're becoming my favorite. I talked about last week how I got sucked back into Mortal Shell. Well,
shell.
while I was playing Mortal Shell, it kind of like took me over the edge. I've gone to Displate.com 50 billion times trying to find a combination of three displays that I wanted. And normally when I go there, I'm like Mass Effect and Horizon Zero Dawn. Like that's what I'm trying to get. And I'm like, I'm never completely sold on them. I'm like, I like them, but there's something off. And then finally, I was like playing Mortal Shell. I was like, you know what, Derek? This is your favorite genre. Go on there and see if they have any cool like Bloodborne, Sekiro, and stuff like that. And I went on there and I found it's not the artist, but like his thing that he does is he calls it I think it's burning art.
Hmm.
And so I found three really cool burning displays for Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Dark Souls.
And these are things that you just hang up, right? These are
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So it's gonna go in my gaming area. They even give you like a magnet. It comes with it just to put them on your wall, um, and I'm excited about it. I'm like, you know what? Those that three they fit the same genre, and I love all three of those games. Like I think, or all three of the franchises. I think they're top notch.
Yeah.
And I still like stuff like Mass Effect and Horizon, all that stuff more. There's a special place in those games' hearts because, like you were just saying, hey, I like them, but they don't hook me. Every time I play them, I'm like, I gotta finish it. I gotta beat this because and maybe it's like this like insecure Derek part that's like you can't lose to this. You gotta prove that you're a good gamer, even though I suck at everything else. I always finish those games and I enjoy them. So
And they've got some really cool Witcher ones, it looks like, too. I'm looking at them right now.
yeah,
Bloodborne's got some great
I'd
ones.
like to get Witcher. I do want one with Link. Like they got some cool Link ones or Breath of. I would like to do like a Breath of the Wild, and then I want to get definitely Mass Effect. I think I want to get the Legendary Edition one. They have one where it's just like the art from the Legendary Edition of Mass Effect trilogy,
Yeah.
and then I
Oh, they
want
have
to
some cool
definitely.
God of War ones as well with Kratos.
Yeah, there's some really cool ones. They're pricey, but I
Yeah.
will say I got the cheapest ones. Like I got the medium size, no frame, and I think it's just the malt
It's like the
style.
size of a piece of paper, roughly.
Yeah, it's not huge, but it's not small. That's what she said. And then I got three of them, and so I'm just gonna put them side by side by side, and
Yeah.
they look really cool. They look well done, and they're not
Nice.
flimsy, so they're not gonna bend or crease or anything like that. So
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm looking at these now. I'm gonna take a look at some of these later to see if there's something to get from my wall behind myself here during my work days as well as
make
podcast
sure you
recording.
use a coupon. They always do. Like I got 33% off because they do charge shipping because they're not in the United States. So you cannot get by without, even
Got
if
it.
you added like $500 worth of stuff, they're going to charge you like $25 for shipping.
Yeah, it's got a code right at the top of the website, and I'm sure I can find other ones too, where if you buy three or more, you can get 27% off.
Yeah,
So
I did three or more, you get 33% off.
there you go.
So
Nice. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't really have much decorative stuff for gaming these days, although I do want to get some more. I've gotten a few mugs, gotten a few shirts, but I need to get more. Dan has put me to shame, and I think he's going to join us here pretty shortly. But his setup with all of his glowing blue PlayStation, Sony stuff, and his figures and the controller decorate, like I need more stuff like that. And also, I need a better camera. I'm just using my laptop camera. So if you're watching on YouTube, my camera's never super clear because my lighting in here is mediocre, and I'm just using a built-in laptop camera. So hoping to up my game in those areas here in the near future, but we'll see what happens. I'll tell you what, though, I've been really hooked on a show that I wanted to real quick talk about. Have you ever watched that show, Longmire on Netflix?
I think I started it.
Did I talk about this last week already?
You talked about a show, and I think your background is it. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the background is picture of the main guy from Longmire, and so I'm into season two now. So, or is it season two or three? I think I just started season three. Anyway, this is a show that was on like A&E or something back in the 2000 teens, like 2010, 2012, something like that. It got three seasons, it got canceled, and Netflix picked it back up and did three more seasons. So it's got six seasons, and I've heard they get even better. But yeah, it's very much like a procedural crime mystery crime show where each episode opens with some kind of body being found or crime being committed, and then the cops have to solve it. So it's procedural, but then of course, like all these shows, it has some kind of overarching story, like a mystery of who killed this main person or some kind of dark background that someone has.
Oh
But
yeah, I have started this
so
long.
yeah, it's got one of those overarching stories throughout each season that kind of keeps pulling you along. There's like one of his deputies runs for mayor against him. So the whole background story for every episode is building up to this election, but every episode still has its own encapsulated murder mystery to solve. And some of them are great, some of them are just fine. It's a little bit Law and Order minus the courtroom scenes, where you've got a murder and they got to solve it. So,
Yeah.
but I like it. Plus, it's set out in Wyoming, so it's lots of way out in the mountains, out in the country, horse riding. It's very cowboy like in modern day. And he's very old school. He refuses to get a cell phone. He's just an old school dude. But I really
Really
like it.
procedural generated shows. Oh, so much fun.
Well,
That
that's
was
Dan,
my nerd
everybody.
voice. That's
Yeah,
my
that's
nerd
Dan.
voice.
Dan has arrived with his nerd voice. It's
Hey,
also
everybody.
got, if you watched the more modern reboot of Battlestar Galactica, which now is getting a little older. I think it's like 20 years old almost now.
Yeah, it's actually been out for a while.
15 years old. Anyway, the actress who played Starbuck. Her name is Katie Sackhoff, something like that. It's a weird last name.
You mean jack off, right?
That's what I meant. The one who played Starbuck, she's in this as she's one of the main characters. She's really good too. But anyway, I recommend Longmire if you like that kind of, on this week's mystery. It's apparently based off of mystery novels from back in the day. So I like it. I think it's great. It's one of those shows that's fun to escape to, and I don't care if it's a little cheesy and a little bit. They do a lot of stuff with the Native Americans that are there on the reservation, and some of the political issues there too are actually pretty interesting, I think. So I like it. So that's what I've been watching, and what I've been playing. Not Demon Souls, sorry, Derek. But I did start playing another game that you had purchased because you told me you had it on the Xbox, which I didn't realize you had purchased it, and that was Curse of the Dead Gods. So that's one that several folks in the group have been playing for a little while now. It came out last month, I think. And I saw it and I thought this looks cool, but I don't know. I'll get it. It's probably going to be free at some point, and in a way it was because Derek bought it. So,
He's your sugar daddy, right?
That's right.
Obviously.
So I'm playing that one, and
He
so
just smirked.
This one was published by Focus Interactive. I feel like they always have somewhere in the 2 to 4 range of games every year that are like, oh, that was a surprisingly fun little game or big game. Who knows? I feel like Focus is always putting out something interesting every year, or publishing something interesting every year. So this one is, I got to be honest, it feels like such a Hades ripoff. If it weren't made so close to it, I would think it is. I think they certainly have taken pieces from things like Hades and from Diablo and other things, but I mean, it feels very much like Hades. And maybe I'm uninformed here. Maybe Hades ripped off another game, and both of these games are based off of that. I don't know.
I mean, they're roguelites, right?
But they're both isometric. They both include the same room structure where you kind of have to pick a path and then it crumbles behind you because it's all randomly generated. So it's got very similar setups that way. But the good news is like Hades, where Hades has a very deep kind of Greek mythology lore. Curse of the Dead Gods is very light on lore and story and dialogue, and it just kind of throws you right in. And the idea is the farther you progress, the more corrupted you get, which means you're going to start having these curses that build up on you. And the final curse is this full corruption, which makes the game incredibly hard because you have like 1 health. So it's like really tough after that point. But you can sacrifice, I don't know if it's purity or whatever it is, but you can allow more corruption to take over in order to get better weapons or upgrades or things like that. Throughout each run, you can allow yourself to become more corrupted to upgrade stuff if you don't have enough money to upgrade those things. So it's kind of a cool balance. It's one of those games where you just get as far as you can in each run. It's not as difficult as Hades was, at least for me personally. I feel like Hades was a tougher game. I think this one's much easier. I got through the first 2 bosses without too much difficulty.
I haven't seen this game in action. Is it like fast and frenetic like Hades?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Moves pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's one of those things too where you got a lot of different weapons to choose from. Whether it's knives that you throw or you can pick up a spear, bow and arrow, sword, hammer, shields.
So also a weapon, like a bunch of weapons like Hades. So
correct. Except they do add a few other ones like guns and things like a revolver. You get a few other weapons that aren't there in Hades.
Yeah.
So again, it's very, very similar in my opinion. I even think the combat feels similar. The dodge and all that stuff feels similar. Some of the systems are a little different, which is cool. And I do think overall it's a little easier. It's not nearly as long of a game. Like in Hades, even if you complete a full run, you haven't actually experienced the whole game yet, without spoiling anything. So there's more to that game than just getting through it all one time. So with this one, it might be the same way as well. But I do know this: they have a bunch of like daily and weekly challenges. So because it's all procedurally generated, there's plenty for them to keep throwing at you. They just had an update recently where you can really turn up all kinds of essentially cheat modes. You can turn your like God mode and infinite ammo and stamina. Like you have all these things that you can do to make the game, to essentially break the game and just play around. Like I want it to be super difficult or super easy. So they've added all these modes. You can't unlock trophies or achievements, I don't think, when you do that.
I mean that's usually the case when a game allows you to kind of activate God mode, so to speak. So
yeah, but I think it's cool that they're doing that. And then they added some additional weapons, and they call it the Dead Cells update. So I think there's some Dead Cells connections, some content there. But anyway,
not the same developer, right? Is it?
I don't know. Derek, do you know the answer to that off the top of your head? I don't think it's the same developer as Dead Cells.
Sorry, was it Curse of the Dead Gods? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So I do recommend
they're
it.
doing a crossover, right?
They did a crossover. I just don't know if it's the same developer. It was by Past Tech Games.
No, they should be separate.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah. But it's good. I like it. I recommend it. I think if you liked Hades, if you liked Dead Cells, if you like these kinds of dark but really fun combat games, then give it a shot. It's nowhere near as in depth as like a Diablo or something like that. It's not like that, although it is isometric action. It's different. So it's cool. I dig it. The other thing,
not Resident Evil 8, so I don't care.
It's no RE8. It's not. It's absolutely not.
It's definitely not RE8. The other thing I've been playing before, I wanted to see. Dan, did you play the RE8 demo?
That's actually why I was, late, I guess, because you guys wanted to start early because you're old men and you're probably like, I'm so tired. And you go like this to your eyes or whatever. I'm so sleepy.
We do that. Yes.
Bro, I'm like a partier now. I'm out.
You're a partier.
Till like 2 and 3 in the morning with in the college scene.
You're just doing shots and having broads just grind up against your crotch. You're out of control. This is actually an intervention. This is not episode.
We're not talking about video
59.
Games.
This is not episode 59. It's episode intervention for Derek.
That's right. You got it.
Yeah, like everywhere I look around, I'm like, wow, she's really hot, but she's about 21.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, makes sense.
You could be most of these girls' father. All right. So anyway,
okay with being their daddy.
Oh my gosh.
Don't say. But
okay, let's talk about RE8 in just a second. I did want to mention real quick this game I'm playing. It's only on Game Pass for PC. They just added it to Game Pass, but it's not on the Xbox because I don't think there's a console version of it. It's called Pathway, and this is not everyone's cup of tea. It's got this old school aesthetic to it, but yet still looks modern. Anyway, I think it's fantastic. It's one of those ones where you if you ever played FTL or honestly even Curse of the Dead Gods, the way you you have a map and then there's a couple connecting routes and you can kind of pick which route to go, and it could be something great, it could be an enemy, it could be a healing opportunity. So it's one of those types of games. And then when you get into combat, it's a grid-based, turn-based strategy combat. So you've got, but it's all set in World War II, like World War II Africa. So it's all very desert oriented, and you have World War II weapons. You've got some special abilities on each character. So you have an overworld map where you decide which route you want to take to get to your destination. And then when you get into combat, it's a cover-based, turn-based RPG. So a very light RPG. It's not, it's not Gears Tactics or XCOM or anything that crazy. It's very light. But
did you guys ever play that? I think it was on PlayStation Plus, like way early on in the PS4's life cycle. Mercenary Kings.
Yeah, briefly.
It's like the environment sort of reminds me of that. Like it almost kind of has like just like similar vibes, like the art style.
Yeah, the art style reminds me a lot of kind of the Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1 era of certain RPGs, but still looks more modern, still looks more in depth. Derek, you raised your hand. You have a question?
Hey, Teach, a question.
That was his way
I
of
love
saying,
how while you guys talk, I'm so interested. So
clearly
new things to
He's like, hey, what does Skype let us do now? Oh my gosh. So anyway, I do think Pathway is fun if you like strategy games and kind of that old school approach, visual approach. Then give Pathway a shot. If you've got a PC, you can play it on Game Pass. I don't know if it's coming.
Just so listeners know, whenever Tim says, hey, there's this game I'm playing, it's not for everybody. What he's really saying is, it's not fair.
Yeah.
Moving
Derek, don't give it away, man. That's been my cue for you for years of letting you know you can tune me out for a couple minutes. That's what I'm telling you.
He only says it on games he knows I'll absolutely trash. He'll be like, it's just not for everybody, aka.
I mean, don't worry.
I was trying to help you. I'll stop doing that.
I mean, you don't really have to. He knows when he doesn't want to listen. He'll just be on his phone, or falling asleep, literally.
That's true. That's true. Well, I need to be nice to Derek, especially tonight, because he's potentially giving up Resident Evil 8 demo time to be on the show. We'll see. We'll see if that's what
I'll tell you about the demo, Derek, because I just finished it. So
you can. I mean, I started it. Did I talk about why we were recording, or was I talking about why we
mentioned it real briefly? So What'd
Did you
you
start
got?
it though? Because I mean, the timer's running then if you started it and then paused it.
Well, I turned off the PS5. I
Okay,
didn't put
good.
it in rest mode. I turned it off.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I just started. You can talk about it. I don't care if
No, I'm saying okay, good, because I thought this demo also was going to be like you can play the half hour repeatedly. You cannot. It cuts you off. Like it starts the new timer of the new demo that's going to
I think
initiate.
that's how they did Resident Evil 7's demo though
Right.
too.
But what I'm saying is the demo that's going to be the full hour that's in like a couple of weeks or whatever, that you can play multiple times. So
Yeah.
that's where I got
Why are they doing
confused.
it this way? This doesn't make any
So
sense.
yeah, let's just get that out of the way. The most convoluted rollout of demos like ever in existence. Like like
I think
this
honestly it's just to give like PlayStation owners like a little like, hey,
yeah.
but it's how they're even doing it. Just
Yeah, it's so convoluted. Like, so basically, there's the demo that's out now, which is just the village, and it's a half an hour. And then I think next weekend is the castle demo,
It sounds
and
right. The castle was the next one. Yeah.
that's a half an hour. And
Yeah.
then the week after that is the everyone can play demo, which is a full hour, and you can choose where you want to do castle or you can do the village. You can mix it up, but you can rinse and repeat that demo. Whereas the one for just PlayStation, both parts, apparently it's just you play the half hour, and once the timer runs out, like you're done. So
You're done.
you're done.
I
All
saw
right, so
like
Dan, what'd you
funny
think about it?
meme.
Because Derek's thought on it so far, for the 30 seconds he was able to see it, was how amazing it looks on the PS5.
Dude, yeah. Oh my god, the old lady that's walking you into the village, like her face, I was like, wow, this is like the best looking face in a Resident Evil game I've ever seen. Just a lot of detail. The animation's very nice.
Just the village looks like gives you that Resident Evil 4 vibe.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't look exactly like it. I'm just saying
sure.
like, it gives you that feeling right away.
No, absolutely. I mean, and again, the second we saw the first trailer of like showing that kind of like that beginning area, it was like, yeah, oh yeah, they're definitely, taking inspiration from 4.
So here's what I think they're doing. I think not like a hub world. I think you're gonna probably start out in the village, but they're gonna have different houses because there's clearly like the big vampire lady. She's working for that whatever lady's name.
Lady Miranda, I think it is.
Yeah. And then I think there's a brother and some other people that are related. And I think they're going to have their houses or whatever areas that they are located in. So I think the in between will be the village. Like the village will lead you to those different areas.
The dude with the hat and the giant hammer, I think he's a Lycan, which is werewolf. And then you got the Step on Me vampire lady. That everybody wants to sleep with.
Yeah,
well, that was what
there
I
was
was
a big thing
say.
about the pronunciation for her name now too. How do you pronounce it?
So Brittany said her name, but like the U at the end was missing. So I thought she actually said it wrong because I'm assuming it's Demetrescu, but I don't think she said the U at the end. So I'm not actually sure still, to be honest.
So there was a funny meme about the demos where it was like releases, you have 30 minutes to play the castle demo, and then it shows a guy running it. It shows Tom Hanks in what's that movie he did where he's running.
Forrest Gump, right?
It shows him running Forrest Gump, and it says running to Lady blah blah blah's bedroom.
Yeah.
Like I got 30 minutes to get to.
Yeah. Where is this? How do I find the key to open this specific door? Well, that's actually 10 hours in. So, yeah, the lighting is. So I basically walked around a lot right in the beginning because there's like a few little like abandoned shacks that you can walk into. The lighting is insane. The lighting is fantastic.
Are you playing ray tracing mode?
Yeah, I left it on. I didn't really toggle it back and forth, so I can't go back and check like the difference, but it was automatically
to ray tracing.
It did, yeah.
Okay, so then that's what I was playing on because I did not change anything.
Okay, yeah. The lighting is insane. It's fantastic. I mean, when the game fully comes out, I want to like be in rooms where like say like a lamp is moving because like the lighting just looks pretty. It looks very dynamic, like just the way that it bounces off of things, and when you enter a room, like it kind of brightens up as as if you were walking into an actual room where it might look kind of darker if you were standing outside of it. I mean, lighting I think is going to be super important in this game for sure. And then sound is going to definitely be important because I mean, after having finished Resident Evil 7, and I was using these headphones. These are really nice headphones. The sound was like insane. Like when I originally played the game, I just played them with like the PlayStation headphones, and like it's like night and day. So I would imagine that they've even perfected the sort of surround sound and like all the dynamic sounds even more
Oh, for sure.
with this game for sure. So
I
yeah,
actually
it's
just
very
bought I bought like for my TV, which didn't have like the OLED TV didn't have bad sound. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty good for the TV, but I went ahead and bought like a surround sound setup. I
Yeah.
spent
Nice.
$300 on one at
Yeah.
Costco,
Yep.
and now whenever I don't turn that on, I just turn the TV on. I'm like,
Yeah, it's gross,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, built-in TV speakers, they're only, in my opinion, they'll only get the job done for like news or some basic sitcom show you're watching real quick. Otherwise, like if you're gonna play a game or even watch sports, in my opinion, or watch a
Yeah.
movie, you need the real deal sound, you know?
so I'm excited to have like surround sound while I play like Resident Evil
Yeah.
and I'm probably honestly gonna do my first playthrough, I would imagine, on PC because I'm gonna want the ray tracing and
Yeah.
I think I can pull off with my card. I think I can get 80 to 100 frames
You
per
probably
second.
can with your new rig, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I would
Totally.
So,
imagine it's
oh,
going to look insane on your PC. So
Yeah.
yeah, because if the PS5 can do a locked 45 frames per second
Mhm.
at 4K with ray tracing enabled, again, I don't know if it's a fake ray tracing. I'm
Sure.
not going to get into it, but for people that don't know, these consoles do ray tracing, but they don't do the full of what a full ray tracing is.
It's not
But
every ray. It's just some of the rays.
yeah, it's
It's
fake
a
ray.
few rays, you know? Yeah.
It's
It's
fake
like one
ray.
or two rays
Fake
versus
ray.
like, yeah.
So I think with everything enabled and stuff, I could at least get 60 to 80 frames, which I think
Yeah.
would be
And
super.
again, looks gorgeous on my PS5 on my TV. So again, I would imagine on PC it's going to be bananas. So
Well, I
Yeah,
have
I'm gonna
both.
try
So
this too. I'm gonna try this demo tonight when we're done recording.
yeah,
I would have tried it earlier, but children and stuff. Let's not have
sure.
nightmares tonight if we can help it.
The werewolves, I did shoot a couple of werewolves. They take a lot of bullets. So, and I'm playing on normal. I was playing it on normal. So I was like, wow, these guys are not going down. This is going to be tough. So, but I found one like landmine in a building. So I dropped that down and it took one of them out real quick.
How does
but
the
I-
shooting feel? Shooting and combat stuff. How's it feel so far?
So it's got the adaptive triggers, so like there's like sort of that resistance, which was really nice. It just feels really cool. So you obviously you hold the L2 to draw the weapon, and then you're firing with R2. Yeah, it feels nice. I mean, I wouldn't say it's better than like a Call of Duty or something that really focuses on that, but yeah, I think it feels nice. The shotgun feels nice. So yeah, not bad, not amazing, just
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, this
Probably a
game is
slight
getting
step
close,
up,
man.
so.
This is like Derek and I were just talking about this before we started
Yes,
recording. It's
seven.
like 2.5 weeks away, something like that. So
Yeah, it's May 7th, right?
yeah, it's getting close, which is awesome. Sorry, I keep muting in between when I'm not talking because my wife is trying to get kids down, and two of the toddlers are being very loud right outside my door. That's what I want for Christmas is a soundproof door. That's what I'd like.
Or just a whole room, and then you can just run into your room and lock the
you need a
soundproof door.
man cave.
So our bedroom is the closest thing I have to a man cave. My wife, for the most part, lets me kind of own it, but our door is like paper thin, at least when it comes to sound. Like,
Is
if
that
they
where
come
you
right,
set your office up?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's where, yeah, I've got my gaming PC stuff here. We've got a TV over there we can watch shows. I got my work stuff set up right here too. So this is my favorite spot in the house. My door is not very soundproof.
I thought you had done the basement up.
No, it's our room. We have done the basement up for the kids, for the older kids.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But, yeah, all of our older kids live down there. They're fine. Like for the most part, they kind of get it. If they're supposed to be quiet. They also know they're going to lose some screen time if they really cause a problem when I'm trying to do something. But when you're talking to a 3-year-old, their ability to rationalize and make a well-reasoned decision isn't really there yet. Not developed.
You can't negotiate with a terrorist, so
You can't. You really can't.
you can't.
And that's exactly what they are. So
Mini terror.
many.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, speaking of my kids,
You guys are getting zucked for that.
this.
I'm sure he has something in Skype that he can like.
Well,
watch.
because you're here, he's after
Yeah, but dude,
you.
we're not on the short list like you
Yeah.
are. You are
Oh.
100% on the short list.
They're
All
like,
of
"Oh,
both
that guy
you
again?
and
Okay.
you and all of your alter egos out there, they're all on the short list.
They know who it is. They're like,
You
it's
act
the
like they
same.
don't know. Yeah,
It's
you
the
act like
same
they don't.
freaking phone number, bro. We
Yeah.
know who you are.
Yeah.
You're done.
Same picture, same face, same guy.
But yeah, speaking of my kids, we watched 2009's Avatar, the James Cameron movie, not the Last Airbender.
Have you
Last night.
guys seen Avatar?
Have you guys seen Avatar? It's so we watched it, and yes, it is of course a blatant ripoff of many classic stories like Pocahontas and then Dances with Wolves, which was a ripoff of Pocahontas. So I get it, I totally understand that. But when it even the visuals and the story and just like the fun action, again, this is according to watching with my kids, still pretty fun. Still liked that movie.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
when did that come out?
2009. That's 12 years old now.
Yeah, the CG at the time was pretty.
Yeah, and you can see now how like okay, they could make that look better, and I'm assuming for this upcoming sequels they will, but it still looks really good. Like it's not quite up to snuff with some of the stuff we've seen in recent years. I like just watching, Kong and Godzilla, for example, that CG is just amazing. And so this isn't quite up to snuff with that, but it's still really, really good. And the character design is awesome. And I know a lot of people don't like it and they'll trash it and they think I've got garbage opinions
Well,
for liking things like that. But I do. It's just good popcorn fun. Like we had ice cream and popcorn and pretzels and just snacked and watched this movie last night. It was awesome. So it was fun.
People love to hate on things that are popular, right? That's just how that works.
I feel like Tim
Sure.
just likes things that are like positive. Like he wants to live in this like happy, pretty world.
I want to live in the happy, pretty world. Yes, I do.
Whereas like people like me are like Star Wars needs to get darker. Like the good people need to start actually dying.
Did you see what Kyle posted recently where it showed like a bunch of examples in the Star Wars cartoon? It was like addiction, sex trafficking, it named all these things. And then it was like, and this is for kids. Okay. Like it had all the different topics that they've covered.
Sure. But
Don't
like
you
that's
worry.
usually the side stuff though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually the little side episodes on like Clone Wars. And they don't talk about it with the phrases like human trafficking, but that's what they're talking about,
Sure.
Anyway, all right, that was a little sidetrack there. One of you wrote that you played Hunt Showdown. Tell me about this game. This came out a little while back, but
but like just to end Resident Evil 8, I can already tell it's gonna be amazing. So please, everybody, play it.
Oh yeah, we'll be talking about that one a lot over the next few
Absolutely.
weeks.
So this is I'm actually playing it, and Derek, I think this is actually something you might like. This is a swimming in sevens type of game, so that's right down your alley.
I own this game. I played it.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Now, did you buy it because it was on sale?
No, so a while back, the Easy Allies were playing it on a stream, and I was like, "Oh, that looks pretty cool." And it like,
it's super cool.
Yeah, I liked the look of it. I was like, "This is actually a pretty nice looking game." I mean, they were probably playing on PC, which obviously would look nicer. Because I'm playing the PS4 version on my PS5, and there's no upgrade, so I'm playing a PlayStation 4 game. So it doesn't look as nice, but
this is a
first-person shooter,
right?
60 because you're playing it on PS5.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
I don't think it ran 60 on last gen. But
yeah, then I'm gonna assume this. Yeah, this because I found an article where they said don't expect an update anytime soon. So I was like, oh well, that's a bummer, but whatever.
Can you cross play? So like if I was playing on PC, we could play together.
Yeah.
I always assumed this was just like an Evolve type of game where you're playing against other people the whole time.
Yeah,
that's why I never gave it a shot.
So basically, it doesn't have a story mode, which is kind of a bummer. I think they could have done something cool with like the concept story mode, but whatever, it's fine. So it's a PvP PvE type of game. That's pretty much its main bread and butter. So it's you can either play solo or you can do a 3-person team. And then you basically drop down onto a map, and there's like a main boss enemy that you're trying to hunt and take down. And then what you do once you take them down is you start banishing them. So like this percentage starts building up in the corner. But other people in the match can also kind of try to flank you and take you out and sort of collect the bounty. Because you're trying to collect the bounty.
You got to track the monster first. So
is the monster player controlled?
No.
No.
So you're
That's
finding
the PvE
clues.
part.
So
Yeah,
it's a competitive PvE, so you can
yeah.
still compete against each other, but you're all going after a NPC essentially target, a computer
Yes.
controlled target. Okay.
That's
Yeah,
what I like about it.
and
That's
sorry,
cool.
I missed the piece. Yeah, Derek was mentioning you're finding clues kind of spread out throughout the map to basically narrow down the area where the main guy is that you're trying to find, the main NPC boss that you're trying to banish, and collect that bounty. So then you bring it back to the extraction point to then get like a bunch of XP. So you obviously get way more XP. Um, yeah, it's actually really fun. Like if you get a really good match going, like and you actually get some kills and like, dude, the first kill I ever got, I had a sledgehammer, just this massive sledgehammer, and this guy was like coming at me. I swear he was looking right at me, but for some reason he just didn't register that I was like an enemy. So like he climbed over a fence and I just kind of climbed up right behind him and just freaking swung that thing right down at the back of his skull and he just went down like just immediately. You die pretty quick.
We
So
do like the Hammer Bros.
yes, exactly. That's
So
Yeah,
okay,
you
it's this
do
kind of
like
thing
going
where
down
like
really quick.
you
yeah.
level up and you can like get
Yeah.
better
So
gear as
the
you
only
go.
the only thing I don't like, I mean, I get it. I think it's just to kind of basically add an extra layer of tension, but there's permadeath. So basically, the first 10 levels of your rank, the permadeath is disabled. So it's just to kind of get you acclimated to the game. Once you hit that level 10, the permadeath is enabled. So your character in that next match, if your character dies, like that character's gone, like that character's dead. The only thing that you're really losing is essentially like the ability points that you accumulate from leveling up to kind of give you that sort of edge, like kind of like, more stamina or
And that seems like a big deal. If you're losing ability points you've earned.
yeah. So that's kind of it's to add that extra layer of stress because it's like, oh, I've been working on this character, I've been adding these abilities and now they're just gone, so I have to start a new character. But you don't lose guns, you don't lose your like in-game currency. So
Okay.
that all stays, but you do lose the abilities in that character. So that's kind of where like the stress of that comes in. So yeah, the first time that I actually nabbed a bounty, I was like, I just booked it. I was feeling a little stressed. I was like, all right, I got a bounty. Now I gotta just haul ass this way because
So you arrive on the map, you follow the clues. Let's say you survive, no other players kill you.
Yep.
To the enemy. Is it a big boss that's hard to kill, or is it a pretty easy character to kill? Is it a human?
It's a little tough. It's definitely tough. So there's sort of things throughout the map to kind of that you have to watch out for. So there'll be like broken bottles on the ground that if you walk over and the like kind of the grunts, so like the zombies are nearby, they'll hear that and they'll come after you. There's like
Okay, so there's smaller mobs to take out.
yeah, it's
Okay.
so there's actually almost like a little bit of a like a Left 4 Dead vibe. So there's different sort of tiers of enemies. Like there's like this one that's actually super creepy. So in Left 4 Dead, there's that chick zombie that like shrieks, right? That attracts more zombies. So there's one that's kind of like that, but she like actually will shoot out like insects to poison you. But she looks really cool. So think of like your body if like the flesh kind of like ripped off from your chest, so you can see like her like kind of chest exposed, and then there's like almost like this insect like nest coming out of her
Jeez.
inside, but like her flesh is like hanging off the side, so her head's like this, but
Oh my
like
gosh.
her like chest is over here, all the bones and everything. It's super creepy, but it looks cool.
That's what
But
I think probably happens in real life. When in the movies, when people
yes.
are like in a subway tunnel and they can somehow squeeze up against the wall as the subway goes by and it doesn't hurt them. I think that's what would actually happen to them if they did that.
Yeah, it would just literally rip your your flesh off.
Rips your whole front of your chest off. Yeah.
So there's some cool looking enemies, and that's definitely she's like kind of one of the cooler ones, I think. But she's just like a regular enemy. I mean, obviously stronger than just like the regular zombies. But
it's
yeah,
on sale right now for $16.
Yeah, so I actually would think it would be super fun for us to get together and play it. It's definitely more fun with a group. I've played with random people, mostly solo, just because I'm just
kind of playing with the group. Don't you still want to take each other out?
So, well, it's a team, so you could do a 3-person team, and you're taking out other 3-person teams, or you play solo.
Fortnite-esque. Okay, all right. So it's a little battle royale-esque. Okay.
All right, I just bought it on PS5.
Oh, okay. Well, we could have played. You could have done PC though. I mean.
Yeah, but it's more of a pain that way. It's just easier to just log into the console and play.
Tim, do you wanna zombie Red Dead it up? Because it's basically
now I
Red
have
Dead
it.
zombie.
Since you got it
That's
on
the
PS5.
other reason is like
Yeah.
Tim can play it now
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
if he wants to play it.
Yeah, I don't think
Well-
I don't think I mentioned it. The aesthetic is like Wild West, so it's basically like Red Dead, like with zombies. Or
Dude, I'm doing the whole cowboy thing with the TV show I'm watching, and so I'm down for that.
there you go. We're on the same page.
I'll actually, because it's downloading now, I'll play it tonight if anybody
Yeah.
wants to play.
Yeah. It's
Well-
really fun. Again, it
Well,
just
I want
has,
to do the Resident Evil thing and then do that.
yeah. But it has sort of that like Dark Souls where you're like, oh, I'm stressed about losing my souls. Like it kind of has that vibe of like there's that layer of stress of like, oh, I don't want to lose my character. Like it's important, but you know,
I understand
So-
they want to give you, like a bit of a weight to the character dying. I guess I'll just have to try it for myself to see how big of a deal is it actually to lose those ability points. Like, is it crippling or is it more of an inconvenience? Because
No,
I can
it's-
handle inconvenience, but if it's like
Yeah.
if it feels like you just started over from the very beginning, that'd be enough to make me
yeah,
not want.
I'd say it leans more to the inconvenience side because again, it's just more kind of like it's just added bonuses. What's the game we were talking about recently where we're like, oh, it's not really like you're losing anything. It's just more an incentive when you get abilities.
A lot of games we talked about recently.
Yeah, I know. There was one specifically, but I can't remember what it is off
Okay.
the top of my head. But it's just
That one sounds
basically
fun.
like an added bonus. So
Yeah, Hunt Showdown. That's interesting. I just did a Google search for it too, and there's still a lot of Twitter talk around it, and
Yeah.
there's apparently a pretty good community of people who like it.
Yeah.
And like Derek said, when it goes on sale, that tends to give it a little spike in usage as well. Whether it's major Twitch streamers start playing it more, or major podcasts, whether it's Easy Allies or whoever, they play it, that can give it a boost. But also, you put it on sale across all platforms, and you're going to see.
I didn't know about the game at all until I saw them playing it. So
yeah, I remember hearing about it, but then once I saw it's just competitive online only game, I was like, yeah, cool aesthetic, but I don't care. It's the same thing with that Hood game that's coming out, the Robin Hood game. I love that setting, but it's just a competitive multiplayer game, and so I'm not naturally drawn to those kind of games. I'll try them, but
I think for like $20, if you can find it for 20 or less, that's where it's reasonable. I bought it used at GameStop for 20, so I was like, that's worth it to me. If it was 60, I'd be like, I'm all set.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's stuff we've been playing. Unless I missed anything. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about before we?
I mean, we're gonna start our mountain cabin sort of castle that we're gonna right.
Yeah, we
Valheim?
played some Valheim yesterday. Derek, I think you would enjoy parts of that. As we were playing it yesterday, as we were taking down that blob, using those frost arrows, I was like, Teague would like some of this stuff, but I don't know if you'd like all of it, but you'd like some of it. I do think you would.
I think you would enjoy playing it, Derek, but visually you're a snob, and it's not like high fidelity 4K.
I talked to Jesse White about it, like, because you guys kept talking about it in the show, and I was like, I've looked at the game, and there's parts of me that are like, I think I could have fun with this. I don't even think it's the aesthetic. It's just I don't like Survivor games. Like I'm talking straight Survivor. I'm not
I
talking
typically don't either.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what's holding me back. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll buy it when it's on sale, which is not going to happen anytime soon with how successful it is. But
if you do play, you'll just play on our server, which is a dedicated one, and we've got you don't have to start from scratch and go to a stone axe, and we've got tons of stuff to get you jump started.
We basically would limit you. Yeah.
I never game with you guys. I bought Hunt Showdown. We're probably not even gonna play it. I'll end up playing it by myself for one.
No, man, we're playing it tonight. I get a gaming night. I gave my wife a girls' night last night. I get a gaming night tonight.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So yeah, I want to play the Resident Evil demo because it's limited time tonight, right? So if I don't play it tonight, then it's coming out in a few weeks, so not a big deal. But I just want to try it. I want to see it. But then I'll be on PS5. I'll play some Hunt Showdown.
Well, you need to download Hunt right now.
Can you do it from there? Because you have my.
Oh yeah, I could just log in as you. Well,
Yeah,
no,
you're
because it would
giving
download
them-
on my console.
You're giving them too much power, Tim.
Yeah, I know. No, I thought if you did it from the app, like if I try to download.
Let me
something
see if
from
I
the
can
app,
do it. Let me do it.
And I think if I do it from the app, it'll download to your console since we do the swapperoo there.
Which I think is what I do a lot of times, like on Xbox. I download stuff.
You have installed a ton of stuff on my consoles. Yes. You have.
Has he really?
Oh, for real? Yes. There's been a lot of stuff downloaded on my console.
That's actually pretty funny.
On
I
multiple
try to tell it to download like mature games so his kids can like accidentally access
Hey, Dad,
inappropriate
what's
content.
sexy time game? All right.
Sexy Simulator 2000 something.
So other than the convoluted demo release of Resident Evil 8, did they talk about anything else in that big presentation?
Mercenaries, which I've never been like specifically super interested in, but a lot of people actually love the Mercenaries mode. So it's just kind of like an arcade, like kind of timed mode where like you're you're going through and you're killing enemies and you're kind of
Is this in the RE8 world or just Resident Evil broadly?
As far as we know, RE8 world.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they could expand it, or they obviously just haven't shown us like everything, so maybe there is more. But as far as I know, it's probably just 8.
And it comes with RE8. It's like a multiplayer mode that's in there.
So it's free.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's a free mode. Yeah, people are just super into it. You basically you kill enemies, you accumulate money, and you're upgrading stuff, and you're kind of progressing through the mercenary mode. It's just like a fun arcade mode, like timed arcade mode.
Yeah.
So
cool. So they talked about that a little bit. They unveiled their plan for the demos. The idea for the demos, by the way, folks, is just that if they've got a main demo coming out like the week before the game releases or the weekend before it releases, I guess, that most people have access to. But before that, it's almost like they wanted to gamify it a little bit, like to make it fun or to make it kind of like exclusive. If you've got certain platforms, you can play it between the hours of here and here, but only for 30 minutes. And it's, I feel like it's a marketing ploy. And I actually don't think it's the dumbest move ever because everyone's talking about it. Like, what a weird way to do demos. And then everyone explains it and talks about how to do it. So I don't think it's the worst idea ever. I just think it's strange. For such a big company releasing such a big game, it seems a little off. But
it's a double-edged sword because it could be either what you're saying, Tim, or it could be people miss the window because it's convoluted and then they get pissed.
Yeah, they could, but they're not going to not buy the game because of it.
Sure. But I'm saying people will go online, they'll complain and be like, "Oh, I didn't understand the so."
That's true. That's true.
So before we move forward with anything, I just want to give a shout out to the fact that the show that I just finished watching probably about a month ago, Warrior, got renewed for season 3.
Sure
which
did.
Is huge because I had no idea that the show even existed until I had HBO Max.
Right.
And then
it's a Cinemax show. It's not even an HBO show.
No. So I started watching it because I was like, man, this kind of this is up my alley. Like it looks like it's like a Kung Fu Matrix type thing, where it's all about, well, not Kung Fu Matrix, but like a Bruce Lee type show.
Well, it's also kind of a Western. Yeah. It's set in the late 1800s in San Francisco. So it's got a little bit of a Western vibe to it. There's a couple episodes where they go out into the country. And there's definitely covered wagons and cowboys and horse riding and all that. Most of it's more of an urban Western setting. So it's like downtown city stuff between these mostly Asian gangs. But then you get some of the Irish and then some of the Americans all involved. And it's
Irish are big in the show.
Big time. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good. Really excited that they announced.
I think it's really good. It's good fun, and it doesn't try to be something that it's not. Like it's all about slow-mo fighting, a lot of good-looking people, and kind of on-the-nose dialogue, but not bad either. It's good. It's well done. And I saw that not only is it getting a 3rd season, but it's going straight to HBO Max. So I don't know if HBO bought the show or what.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, does HBO and Cinemax I wonder if they're under the same.
They might own Cinemax, yeah.
They might.
Because I always feel like they're like a collaboration. Like, hey, buy HBO and you get Cinemax or something like that. Like they're always doing stuff together.
Yeah, it might have been like some kind of movie arm.
Well, mine's downloaded. I don't know if I initiated your download correct.
See, it gives me a notification from your PlayStation that Hunt Showdown is ready to play, since your PlayStation is my primary one. So anyway, whatever. I'll get it downloaded. It's fine. All right. So yes, Warrior. Is getting another season. Probably not till next year though, because I think it just got renewed, which means it's probably not even going to start filming till later this year. So it's still a pretty cool show. Don't recommend it for everyone. There are certain folks who, if you find the content they typically have on Cinemax and HBO to be offensive, it's definitely got some of that. So you got to watch out if that offends you. But it is good. It's very violent too. All right. So we've got the Resident Evil presentation. We talked about. Oh, we didn't talk about this yet. In its first 5 months, the PlayStation 5 is the best-selling console in history, as far as like in any console's first 5 months.
Yeah.
That's kind of the comparison, not in its lifetime, but
hey, you can't find any and blah blah blah.
dude, yeah, it's one of those things
I
where
might have found them.
I think that speaks to the demand of this console. Like it's just so high. Yeah, it's hard to find, but you could make an argument that it's actually not that much more difficult to find than previous PlayStations. It's just the demand is so much higher. You can make an argument for that.
Yeah.
And even though, we've talked a lot about their issues with distribution, I don't have a problem with their manufacturing. Like to me, that makes sense. Like you are limited in manufacturing because of COVID and all that stuff. To me, that makes sense. And I kept hearing they're actually manufacturing more of these than you think. It's all about the distribution. I still think they could have done the distribution in some really customer-friendly ways. But anyway, all that to say, huge success yet again. And the reason they're having success is because they decided not to make Days Gone 2. That's why. So, just kidding.
Yeah, obviously. If they did, then everyone would have rioted and they would not have bought PlayStation.
That's right. By the way, if you want a good laugh, go check out the David Jaffe and Jason Schreier drama. We've talked about this before. David Jaffe is he just does not care. Like he doesn't care what you think about him. He'll say whatever. He gives 0 Fs about anybody or anything.
Tim, I just want to warn you that from now on, like my energy is just going to be David Jaffe's energy.
Oh, good.
So I'm just going to swear a lot. I'm going to tell people to F off.
So I had never heard Jason Schreier talk before. I'd only seen his reporting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then when I watched David Jaffe put up a video on his YouTube channel.
So unfortunate.
And he just lambasts the Min Max podcast that had Jason Schreier. Is he part of that podcast full time?
No.
I think he was just a guest.
He's a guest. Okay. So he was on there and they would start talking and he would have to pause it just to bash him. Like, honestly, I was getting a lot of Teague energy. Like, I know, Freitas, you want that to be your energy, but I was getting a lot of Teague energy where they would start talking. He would pause and be like, just look at this guy. Look at this guy down in the corner. Look at him. Like,
Listen,
it was really funny.
That would be my energy. But again, the profanities would start coming out. I'm just trying to be nice to you, Tim. I don't need you to be hitting that censor button, every 20 seconds.
You're a good man. So anyway, that was pretty funny to watch that.
It was very funny.
Yeah, I also think, and he makes a good point about this too, because he's like, yeah, what would I know? Not like I've been in the industry creating video games. Like, what do I know?
Yeah, I've only made God of War, multi-million-dollar games. Like, what have you done? What have you done?
Well, I also love the way he subtly, and apparently he's called him out for this before, but he subtly calls out Schreier for his one-sided take on the crunch in the industry, because he's just like,
I love that shot.
I loved that too.
I love that he said, "You know nothing about it. You're an idiot." I was like,
basically, like, what have you done? Like, you've gone reporting, and he even gave him credit, like, you've done some good reporting.
Yeah.
But in general, what have you've done nothing. Like mostly talking to the Min-Max.
He was balancing it out by saying, "Listen, I acknowledge that he's actually done some good work, and he's even written a book or two. Like, I acknowledge that, but I hate you and you suck." Like, that's basically the energy that it was.
It was so good. It was so funny.
Really was. Yeah.
That was great. All right. Yeah. Anyway, just want to throw that out there. Other thing that I'll mention is, of course, we had a Indie World presentation from Nintendo. We won't go through all these, but it's worth watching if you like, obviously, indie games. The Switch does have. It was. It wasn't one of their strongest. There's a few things that are interesting, and I think Derek will even care about this one. I think it's Konami's first published new game in a long time. I could be wrong.
There was one last year, I think.
A brand new game, or was it a remake?
Okay, it was kind of like a little pixely platforming game, I think.
Okay. Well, this is actually technically a remake. I looked it up, and I think it's an old NES game. It might have been Japanese only NES game. And I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, but it's Getsu Fumaden.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And the subtitle is Undying Moon. So this was an old Konami kind of arcade style game, very difficult apparently. And the new look of this game, you got to go watch the YouTube video of this trailer. It looks so good. Like, the animation style looks amazing. Like, it's a side-scrolling game, yes, but it looks gorgeous. The animation looks so good, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty tough game too. I get like strong roguelike, maybe even some Souls elements to it at a glance at least. So
The aesthetic is very not Japanese, like Chinese painting esque.
oh
Right.
yeah, totally.
It's that kind of traditional old, like whenever you see like a movie at all, like a kung fu movie that's kind of leaning towards the Chinese culture and everything, and you see like those old paintings and stuff, like it's literally
Yes.
that type of style. So
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
yeah.
So yeah, I thought that one was a standout of these. It did say 2022, although it might come to PC a little sooner. It's only announced for PC and Switch so far. But it's one of those games that you see it and you're like, yeah, that's a perfect fit for the Switch. So that'll be cool. The other ones I wanted to highlight, and Dan, I don't know if there's any that you wanted to call out, but I do think Ollie Ollie World's going to be a lot of fun. The visuals now look more like Spirit Fair, that kind of like light-hearted, whimsical, hand-drawn-ish style.
Mhm.
And if you ever played those games, if you like skateboarding games, I always thought those did a great job nailing the skateboarding. It's not too easy, but not too difficult. I like those games. Another one that came out that was interesting, it's out now. It's called The Longing. I don't think this game looks like it's very fun, but the concept is really interesting. So the guy made it. You are a servant who's waiting for your king to reawaken,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have 400 days to wait. So when you start the game, a real timer of 400 real-time days starts. And listen, I don't know if there's a way to fast forward it, or if like I don't
Is
know
it
how
real time?
that's what it
Is
says. That was
Okay.
the big pitch of it, was that it's real time. So I don't know if there's a way to like change the system's internal clock to like fast forward it to the end, but
Well,
basically you are going around doing all these different jobs you have as the servant, collecting things, maybe even fighting. I didn't see much fighting, but you're exploring, you're trying to fix things up, whatever, in these deep, dark dungeon-like caves while you're waiting for your king to awaken. I just thought it's weird. It looks
yeah.
really weird, but it's interesting.
It basically sounds like Derek's worst nightmare. It's an indie game that literally lasts 400 years.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fast.
We already
So,
talked about Shredder's Revenge, the TMNT
dude, I'm
game.
so excited about that.
So they talked about that one some more. They actually had
Wow.
some of the developers talk about it. Looks really cool. Looks
It
really,
does.
really cool.
And they clearly are very passionate about the old,
They are.
like Turtles in Time, like that, like kind of that time frame of like Turtles games. So
It gives me very strong 90s arcade Ninja Turtles vibes, and I think that's what they're going for. So Chris Tales, which you've talked about before, Dan.
I have.
That one comes out on July 20th.
Yeah,
That
I'm
looks like a
very
really
excited.
fun game. That one looks interesting. I've got the demo for it downloaded and just never tried it.
Yeah, they keep talking about it. They're saying that a lot of inspiration from Super Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger. So I mean, if those aren't sells to you,
Okay. All right.
you
You
know,
got me now.
yeah.
That's pretty much it. The rest of them were a little bit underwhelming.
Well,
Unless
the
you're a
last,
really big fan of Fez, I suppose they're putting Fez out again. Although I still love that people, no matter what, they always post the comment from Phil Fish that he says, "Screw this, I'm done. Fez 2 is canceled." He just quits all social media that moment.
yeah,
Skull the Hero Slayer did look cool. The idea there being that you're fighting humans, like you are the boss that's becoming stronger. Basically, that's kind of what that looked like. You're fighting human heroes, basically. And then the last thing was Oxenfree 2. They did, they actually haven't done a one more thing in a while. They've usually been like, this is our last game we're gonna show. So they did like a one more thing, and then the radio static came in, and I was like, Oxenfree 2. Like as soon as they did that, I could tell Oxenfree 2. I liked that game a lot, so this one will be cool.
It had some cool, somewhat creepy vibes. I liked it.
Yeah,
Interesting story.
For sure. So yeah, that was I'm with you, Dan. It wasn't their strongest, but my expectations for this weren't super high. My expectations for the Nintendo Direct were high, and I was super let down, which we've already talked about. But for this one, they weren't super high. So seeing a couple things that look mildly interesting is fine with me. I don't really put much weight into these, and if they deliver something cool, that's great. And if they don't, then I just shrug, like whatever. What is interesting though is in June, I hope we're going to get a huge wave of amazing, awesome, surprising news, especially from Microsoft and Nintendo, who I'm still wondering, what are you guys making? Like, what games are you actually working on? So hopefully we'll find out, because E3 is coming back and it's going to be all digital and apparently pretty much free. I don't think they have any kind of paid access for anything. So free for everybody. The only company that's not confirmed, the only major player is Sony. That's not confirmed. But I would be surprised if they don't have a state of play
I
sometime.
mean, yeah, I think it's really weird because it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, all these companies, especially last year, a bunch of these companies got together and did their own thing online. It's like that just seems like the easiest. Like, I mean, what is E3 just going to make it easier for them to like organize everyone together? Like,
It just
clearly,
puts it in a central spot, and
I
then
guess, but
it's going to be like an online
yeah,
conference or convention or whatever. Listen, I'm with you. Like I don't. In a way, it's kind of like, what's the point? On the other hand, it is kind of a fun benchmark every year for
no,
gamers. So
yeah,
I
for
like that
sure.
it's happening in some way. Um, and it kind of like, I just, that whole week has always been one of my favorite weeks as a
Mhm.
gamer, at least every year. I've always loved that week. So, and I actually heard, I was listening to Game Scoop today, and someone wrote into their show talking about how they every year they do a E3 BQ, where a bunch of their gaming buddies get together and they grill out and they drink beer and then they watch the opening. Whoever, recent years it's been Microsoft, but whoever the big
Mhm.
opening conference is,
Yeah,
they'll do a big cookout and then put it up on the big screen and watch it together. I was like, that concept is pretty cool. Like that's
yeah.
something like the idea, even though we can't all get together like that. Um, just knowing that everyone else is watching this and we can talk about it. There's something fun about that.
There is.
And I think for the most part that's behind us, but there's still going to be some of that moving forward. So I think we'll see some new stuff from Microsoft. Nothing crazy. I do think some of their studios will show some stuff off though. I think we'll get a better idea of what's happening for this holiday. Again, even if it's not like something amazing, I think we'll get a better idea of what to expect from Microsoft this holiday. And then from Nintendo, who knows? I mean, the hope is that you hear about the Switch 2 or whatever it's going to be, right? The
Switch Pro, whatever, Switch something.
Ultra Switch. I don't want it to be a Switch
Just
Pro.
Super Switch. That's
I
what they should call it.
Yeah, I don't, because if a Switch Pro just sounds like it's going to be a slight step up. I want to see like a full next
Yeah.
thing, but I'm probably hoping for too much.
Super Switch, Tim. I'm telling you, that's what they should call it.
Super Switch, SUPA, like that. Super
Yeah,
Switch.
Super. Yeah.
Super Switch. So, do you guys care about E3? Is that a thing? Like, do you care? Like,
Oh,
do you want
yeah,
it to happen?
absolutely. It's just I don't know, especially with last year with, having the pandemic, like things are just like rapidly changing and
Yeah.
again, a lot of companies, a lot of the big boys last year, they just kind of took it in their own hands. They're like, well, we're just going to show people like on our own little thing and
Right.
So, but the only thing I didn't like is how spread out it was. Like these guys were doing it this month, these guys were doing it that month. I didn't like it spread. I kind of just want like one massive crazy like gathering of like conferences. I prefer that just to kind of like
That's
have
what
it all done.
we prefer, but because
Yeah.
everybody's stories get like toppled, so
Sure.
like Sony might make a big announcement and then Microsoft might announce something bigger,
Yeah.
or that's why they spread it out.
Oh,
It makes
sure.
more sense, but it does suck because like to me, though that week E3 week was kind of like Christmas as you become an adult. Like I can buy whatever I want whenever I want. So it's not as exciting when I buy things, but when I can like watch a bunch of announcements of my favorite hobby, that's what's like the
Yeah.
Christmas feel to me. There's like
Same.
this excitement, there's this mystery. I have no idea what they're going to announce. There's a
Same.
lot of speculation, and that's
Yep.
kind of gone-ish, and that's what sucks. Like
I
I
agree.
want that to come back.
So that's, to me, it's almost like obviously nothing near to the extent of something like the Olympics. But you think about the Olympics, what makes that so fun is I'm not a track and field fan. I don't I don't keep up with all the competitions. But
Sure.
when the Olympics are on, I kind of like the idea of putting it on and you're like, oh, what's the next event? Oh, cool, I'll watch that. Oh, gymnastics are on, swimming is on. Like I kind of like bouncing around from thing to thing just to see who's going to win. I get that same vibe when I watch the World Cup. I don't watch a lot of soccer. I always feel like I want to watch more, but I just don't make time to. It's not easy to keep track of everything there.
Dude,
But but watching the World Cup, it's like an event. All right, what's the next game? Or like March Madness. I don't watch all of NCAA basketball, but when March Madness, it's the same thing. This is March Madness, World Cup, Olympics time for gamers. Like it all happens at once. It's like, all right, Microsoft is tonight, Ubisoft is tomorrow morning, Sony's the next night, Nintendo's the next. Like having this lineup of companies that are going to unveil their plans for the future is just really fun. I think it's really fun. So
It is. It's just I get it. Like Derek was saying, it's just more. They don't want to step all over each other. They kind of want their moment, in the spotlight. But like that's what's fun about E3 is like this conference happens, it's like, oh man, that thing right there that they announced, that's insane. And then the next conference happens, and then they announce something that's, some people think are crazier than the other announcement, and everyone's, kind of, well, some people are playfully arguing, and then other people are actually arguing about which is better, but
And there's also the cringe factor that used to be so fun at some of those live press conferences. They bring out a celebrity who doesn't want to be there,
Sure.
or a band to come play, or a sports athlete. I remember they brought out, I think it's always Microsoft who does this. They're the ones who spend big bucks on these celebrities more than anybody else. But I remember them bringing out, was it Pele? They brought out some soccer player for FIFA or something like that.
The EA ones are always just so like,
EA ones,
please, like, just put a bullet in my skull.
Very, very cringy. Yep, absolutely. But anyway, so that's happening. That was some big news recently that I thought was kind of interesting. But I think that's all I've got. There's probably some other headlines that I'm missing. I was looking through them as we were getting ready to start recording, and I'm not seeing a ton of other ones. Oh, there's if you were looking forward to the Lord of the Rings MMO that Amazon was going to make, do you remember this announcement? That's now been canceled.
Oh, has it really?
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, I thought they were working just on a game. Was it an MMO?
They were working on a Lord of the Rings MMO. Was the name.
They were working on 2 MMOs, because there's another one. I think it's called New World.
Okay.
That they're currently working on, and some people actually
that's been canceled yet.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that there was.
I don't think that one will get canceled, because that's the one they've supported the most.
Right, and that one I've heard that some actual decent things about it. Nothing amazing, but that actually seems decent. But like the way that they seem very unorganized over there, basically, from what I gather, at Amazon Games, because it's essentially people at Amazon trying to tell them what to do, but they don't know anything about games. So they're trying to tell people that do know the industry and what they're doing. They're trying to tell them what to do. And it's like, well, you don't really get this industry, and you're just thinking dollar signs, but that it doesn't just equate this way. So it's kind of frustrating, and people have left, and that's why games have been getting canceled. So it seems like a huge mess over there at Amazon Studios, essentially.
Got it.
So,
hey, by the way, I just saw this one. I thought this was interesting. The Resident Evil Village resolution and frame rates for consoles revealed. Did you guys see this?
Yeah, yep. I think that's what Derek was mentioning at the what is it, capped at, or not capped, but locked at 45.
So if you've got the base Xbox One and PS4 versions, you're gonna see it in 900p.
Nice.
At 30 frames per second, although PS4 can reach 45 frames per second.
Derek wipes his butt with 900p. Right?
It's true.
900p is nothing.
It's true.
My computer laughs at me if I try to put it at 900p.
for the
it's
PS4
like, are you sick?
Pro, for the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, it'll be at 1080p running at 60 frames per second, and then at high resolution, it can go down to 30 frames per second and run at 4K. Which is no surprise. That's kind of how those things have operated on most games, I think.
I still have a problem with this, and this is what I'm curious with, like Resident Evil 5 or Resident Evil 8, and that's why I'm saying it now. I hate that they say 4K and it's not 4K.
Yeah.
Like they need to specify. Like they need to start saying native 4K. Like that's my issues, because I could sit there and be like, "Oh, PS5's running at 60 frames per second, 4K." That could mean 1440p. Like they're not telling you the truth, and that's what bothers me. Is like,
so you're saying that they classify it as 4K as soon as they get over 1080p, they classify it as 4K?
Exactly.
Oh,
that's exactly.
Well, like once you start breaking it down, like once you start saying 1440p, it's like it's just gonna go over a lot of people's heads. So like,
now for the math part of it, isn't 1440p a halfway step between 1080 and 4K? Isn't that a halfway jump?
Well, it's 2160, so
right.
It's under half.
So it's like a fourth of 4K, right?
No,
so 1080p
4K is
1080p is 2K.
Oh, okay.
Double that is 4K, so that's 2160.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So 1440, I'm just gonna do quick math, is only like 360p's more or something like that. That's not.
So it's not. It's not
quite halfway from 1080 to 2160.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. It is interesting though. So if you get at the base level consoles, you'll still be able to run it. It's just the resolution won't be quite as high. If you have the upgraded consoles, like I've got the One X, so I'll be able to run it either at a high frames per second, or but since I'll have it on PS5, I'll be able to run it 4K HDR, 60 frames per second on both. Although it's 45 frames per second with ray tracing on, it says.
And I do think, let me just clarify, I do think for this game it is going to be native 4K. I could be wrong because of ray tracing. They may have dropped it to 1800p. I just saying that in general, I get annoyed by that because I want games, especially on the PS5, I want them running at native 4K. So I hate when they say 4K because now I know they can do native on a lot, but they can't do it on all of them. So they're not being honest because you could be like, well, I'm going to buy it on PS5. It's native 4K anyways, and then find out it's really not. That's what's annoying.
I honestly think a lot of people don't know when you say native 4K. That's probably just like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Why are you saying native in front of 4K? Like, I don't understand the difference. Like, I think a lot of people just don't. Or at
You know
least
what's
not
weird
yet.
is that we jumped to a different
I agree
measurement.
with Dan. I agree that I understand why they just say 4K.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that we
easier.
used to talk about the measurement in pixels, and the main measurement was the height. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that 1080 is the height, correct? And now 4K actually refers to the width because it's 3,800.
Well, there's two numbers. There's, I forgot, it's like 3800 by 2160.
Correct. 3840 by 2160. Right.
Yeah.
Is 4K. At least that's commonly because it's close to 4,000
That's
across. It's
native
just
4K.
What's weird to me is that if I'm, and this is how I thought about it for a while. So I think most people hear that and think, oh, we have skipped the 2K and we have quadrupled the resolution. We've gone from 1080p to 4000p essentially.
Right.
And we just
that's why
4K.
I just asked that. I said a fourth a second ago because in my head I'm thinking 4,000 and it's not
it's
that.
Just doubled. So, it's just doubled. So it's very confusing. It's very misleading, I think. I don't like that we call it 4K.
I'm not gonna dive into it too deep. It's just a nitpick for me, but the reason it matters is, and you've heard me talk about this in the past with the show, where like, for instance, The Last of Us 2 was native 1440p. So it looked better on a native 1440p monitor compared to a 4K TV, because it's basically saying, hey, all those extra P's that you have, all those extra pixels, they're not utilized. So it doesn't have that tight crunchiness that I talk about. So if it says it's 1440p or 1800p, it has all these extra pixels that aren't being used or utilized. So the tightness that you see with native 4K isn't there. That's why I like native 4K. It's not just it's superior because somebody said it was. I can actually, for me, on my OLED or my monitor, I can tell right away. I'm like, that's not native 4K. Now, there are some games where it's like the art style. Like, for instance, Genshin Impact is getting a 4K. I think it'll be cool, but I played it on PC and PS4 Pro, and it looked just as good.
Yeah, I mean, because that's like almost like a hand-drawn anime
the
style.
Art style. It's not like you can sit there and be like, it's tighter on PC. Like, it's Breath of the Wild. It all looks the same.
It might just have more details in the environment, right? Like, perhaps that. Yeah.
You can tell the difference. It's just it's not as blaring or glaring as it would be on like a Resident Evil 8 or something like that.
Yeah, so by the way, it is roughly 4 times. So I misspoke. So even though it goes from 1080p to essentially 2160p, we just don't call it 2160p. But you are quadrupling the number of pixels being displayed because going from 2 million pixels because they're both getting doubled. And so it goes from about 2 million pixels on display on a 1080p screen to about 8 million being displayed. That's kind of Derek's point of what native 4K should be displaying 800 pixels properly. So anyway, that's the difference. That's another good reason, I suppose, to call it 4K is it's now 4 times the original one. But
it's
anyway.
it's sexier to say 4K than 2160p.
Yeah, much.
Yeah, it's just
much sexier. I agree. So, all right, well, there you go. There's your barely knowledgeable tech corner with Tim, Derek, and Dan.
Yes.
We don't know.
Don't lump me in with y'all's news.
Oh no, you're with us, buddy. Sorry, you are right
there.
Bro,
I study this stuff. Like, I don't even game anymore. I just buy stuff on different consoles and PCs just so I can be like.
Derek hires people to come in and game for him so he can watch. He's like, play it.
Derek's got a diploma in TVs, apparently.
That's all I do.
All right, well, that does it for us this week. Thank you guys for listening. Dan and Derek, thanks for taking time out of your Saturday evening. It is now time to go get that 30 minutes of Resident Evil 8 in, and then if you guys are still awake, play a little.
I'll be awake just because I took a
I'll be
nap.
awake. Aw, you see, old man. You guys are old men taking naps.
I
I'm gonna
had
go
to.
start downloading.
I was out
stuff.
till like 3:30 in the morning,
Whose fault is that?
raving. Whatever the hell you kids do.
Glow sticks? You got your glow sticks?
All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. See ya.